Erev Tavotai, let's continue talking about the Megillah, the Purim. So, as we mentioned yesterday, we started to talk about these things. The Megillah should be read by a real Baal Koreh, somebody who knows how to read properly. That means he knows the Lashon HaKodesh, how to read, how to pronounce, not somebody who just started reading, somebody amateur, that's not a person like that should be reading the Megillah. It should be somebody, who's really Baal Koreh, he knows how to do it. Mumche, somebody who knows how to do it. So it's better, to pay somebody who's mumche, who knows how to read. Pay him. Bring somebody, who knows how to read. It's worth the money. Don't say, this guy will read for free, but he doesn't know how to read properly. That's the thing. So, what does it help you that he's going to read for free? Better to pay somebody, It's a mitzvah to pay him, because the truth is, if you don't pay somebody, right, to read the Megillah, he's not going to prepare, How is he going to prepare if you don't pay him, He's not going to spend the time. So it's better to pay, and give him some cash. Let him prepare it because he has to prepare. If you don't prepare, how are you going to read good? Even if you're a good reader, if you're somebody really good, if you don't prepare it, you're not going to read it good. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's going to be a balagan. So that's the thing. You got to make sure that it says regarding the laws of reading the Torah, right? If you don't prepare to read the reading, you're not allowed to go up there to read the Torah. That's why some people, sometimes people ask me, Rabbi, you want to go read? I tell them, I didn't prepare it. You didn't tell me. If you would have told me yesterday, I would have prepared it. Now I'm not allowed to go up there. I'm not allowed, especially me, I'm not a Baal Koreh, so I don't read regularly. You know what I mean? So if I want to read, I have to prepare. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble, So, same thing with the Megillah, a person who's reading the Megillah, he should go over it like 3 times. Same thing, Just come in, and say, I used to read it when I was young, when I was 12 years old. Bar mitzvah, they taught me how to read. What does that have to do with now, 50 years later? What, you're going to read now? You have to prepare it. You have to get ready everything, and you have to know how to do it also. That's another thing, right? So, these are very important things, for the Megillah. Make sure you get somebody. Also, the Megillah has to be kosher, right? Everybody knows that, but some people, sometimes they forget. It has to be a kosher Megillah, the one that you hear, for the mitzvah. So if you bring, your Megillah, your Chumash, whatever it is you have, right? Art scroll, or you have a Russian one or whatever. Don't read that when he's reading the Megillah. Don't read it together with him, because you'll say the Chovah from there. You can't fulfill your obligation, right, from this Megillah that you have in your hands. Unless you have a kosher one, right? Like, Rabbi Yonatan, right? He has a kosher, so he can read by himself. If he wants to read by himself, he could. But somebody who doesn't have a kosher one, you shouldn't be reading from there. You should be listening to the Baal Koreh. Just watch, You can watch it there. Look at it, yeah. But don't move your mouth. Don't move your lips, You're not allowed to. You don't have a kosher Megillah. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you know how to do these things, you know what I mean? Just listen. That's all you got to do, Listen. Say amen to the brachot, right? And make sure you hear every word. Why? Because there are some Rishonim, who say that if you don't hear every word, if you miss one word, you're not lo yatzai yדי חובה. You didn't fulfill your obligation, So you got to make sure you hear every word. Listen carefully and don't fall asleep, Oh, yeah. Don't fall asleep. You got to, stay alert. The thing is, it's hard. Why? Because when we read the Megillah at night, it's Tanit Esther before. You know what I mean? So we're all weak, and tired, ayefim, So what should you do in order to wake up a little bit? You know what you should do?
Drink coffee?
Yeah, drink some coffee, When the Tanit is over, right? Drink something, eat something, a little snack. So you should wake up a little bit, because otherwise, all day you were fasting. You're going to fall asleep maybe. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Goes off. You missed 2 words and that's it. I'm sorry, Megillah.
Is it mitzvah to listen Megillah Esther with 100 stones?
Look what he says, right? So the truth is, there's no mitzvah to be hungry. The mitzvah is that you shouldn't have a seudah, right? You're not allowed to have a seudah. This is the problem,
The Megillah reading.
Right. So don't have a seudah. Why the rabbi said don't have a seudah before the Megillah? Because you may forget, to read. You may, eat more and more and more. Have a seudah, wine, this, get drunk, fall asleep, and you miss the Megillah, right? That's the reason why. But to have a snack, nobody said nothing about that. right? You're allowed to have a snack, In fact, I think it's a good idea, for a person who's, not so energetic, he's going to fall asleep. You should have something. What I do, is like this. I after the Arvit, they finish, right? After Arvit, I go outside, have a little candy bar, a little something, and that keeps me awake, Otherwise, I'm gonna fall asleep also. What's gonna happen to me, I'm not young like him anymore, in my young days, it's not like that anymore, Okay, right?
Is
You have
that
to-
Megillah reading during the Arvit?
I'm sorry,
Yes, it's the middle of it.
In the middle of the Arvit?
Mechila. What did you say? I'm
The
sorry.
Megillah reading is usually between Arvit.
After Arvit, right? We do Amidah, right? And then we do the Megillah, and then we do Atakadosh after, right? Atakadosh. That's it, right? It's after Arvit. It's after Arvit. Because the Arvit is really the Amidah. Amidah is Arvit. You know what I'm saying? Atakadosh is just something additional. Tosefet. That's the thing, So that's why after Arvit, it's a good idea if you know yourself you're going to fall asleep or something. Have a little snack, so you have energy to stay up, and stay energetic. Coffee, as you said, something like that, right? A little snack, a little fruit, maybe, What you're not allowed to have, is like mezonot, like big mezonot, more than kabetza, more than 50 grams. This, because it's a seudah. That's called a seudah already, So too much.
What time Megillah? What time is post-Esther starts?
So here's the thing, right? Now Shkia is like 5:45, right? That means that next week it's gonna be like, let's say, 5:50, right? Shkia, something like that, right? That means already 6:10 you can already eat something, 6:10.
What time post starts?
What starts?
Post.
Post.
Post of Esther.
The
Fast.
Fast. Okay. Yeah. So Tanit starts in the morning, right? Amud HaShachar.
What time?
What time is that? Okay, good question.
Before
So
that?
right now, right today, Netz was.
I have a breakfast, my question.
Yeah, I understand.
5:11.
That's Ashkenazim. No, we don't go like that. The Nets today.
6:35 it says.
Sorry,
6:35.
Mechila. Let's just make a calculation. The Nets was today. Tell you 6:36. Okay, something like that. So that means that you minus 65 minutes. From there. So it's going to be about 5:30.
That's what calendar says.
Yeah, 5:30. Yeah.
6:34.
This 5:11 Ashkenazim, they do. They're machmir, they do more. It's not our minhag to do like this. Too much. So
You have a breakfast before that.
yeah, you can get up early, and eat a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no question. Yeah, no question about it. So you should get up like, let's say, latest 5 o'clock. If you want to eat, like 5. You have a half hour, to eat, or get up 4:30, 4:35. Mechila, what were you saying?
No, I'm saying you need to do it at night, no?
Huh?
At night, that you waking up.
Yeah, so that's the thing, he's right what he's saying. We already mentioned this before when we were talking about the other Taniyot. So what does that mean? Before you go to sleep, if you want to eat after you sleep, you have to think, I'm going to eat and drink when I wake up, if I wake up, You don't have to say it, you have to think it. That's good enough.
How are you going to
Tonight.
if you're not thinking about this?
Until you fell asleep. Yeah, you fell asleep.
You have to
You
make a
have a lot
kavanah.
for this.
Yeah, you have to have kavanah, right? That's it.
You have to say kavanah. I get up and I eat.
Exactly. You just have to think about it. That's
Say
it. Right?
finish. You cannot get up and eat it. Again.
Okay, yeah. So you know yourself, right? How to do that? You know your mind, right? How your mind works. we'll trust you. We'll trust you for that one. Okay, so that's he's right. You have to make tonight. Okay, so fine. That's another thing, right? So let's get back to what we were talking about, right? Which is that, as we said, that it's pretty good, for most people to have a little snack or drink or something, before you read the Megillah. So about 6:10 already, you can eat or drink, about 6:10. So Megillah is gonna be like, let's say, I don't know, 6:20, 6:30, So you have like 5-10 minutes, to eat or drink something. As we said, right? Seudah is not allowed. No, you'll tell me the kabetza, right? Of mezonot or bread, that's not allowed. But just to have a snack, a little fruit, chocolate bar, something like that, right? Waffle, one waffle, two, maybe two is okay, something like that, right? You can have, there's no problem. some fruits, some snacks, whatever, right? Things like this. You're allowed to have things like that. Not too much. Okay, so that's the way it is, you should be alert. So as we said, right, that we don't want you to fall asleep, during the Megillah, because if you miss even 1-2 words, that's it, right? Finished. So also, right, you got to hear the whole Megillah. So what does that mean? You got to come in the beginning, don't come in the middle of the Megillah. If you come in the middle, right, you got to go to a different reading, you missed this one already, that's it, right? You're not going to be able to do it. What are you going to do, You got to hear the whole thing from top to bottom. So you got to make sure you come on time, and don't come, in the middle. Who's going to help you with that? Nobody's going to help you. Go to a different reading, right? Baruch Hashem, I know that at Bet Gabriel, they have right, many readings there, Shtiblach, they have Shtiblach, right? So they do like several of them, So if you miss it over here, you can go over there, you can do something, make up, whatever. Try to come on time. That's a very important thing. Here's the thing, right? That he knows about this, but I'm going to remind him, just so he doesn't forget. He doesn't really need this halakha because he has a kosher Megillah, but most of us don't have kosher Megillah. Most of us don't have. Maybe 2-3 people, they have kosher Megillah. The rest of us don't have. So here's the thing, right? Let's say you came a little bit late, right? Or you missed a couple of words, So the rule is, even if your Megillah is not kosher, you can read, those words and catch up to the Baal Koreh. Because it's a minority, since it's a minority of the reading, mute, right? So you're allowed to do that, if you missed, you have no choice, right? You missed it. You missed something there, or you came a little bit late, so you can try to catch up by yourself, and catch up to him, and then go with him. You cannot hear the whole Megillah like that, but a minority, a little bit, you can do. Minority, yeah.
The reason why we're reading twice,
Oh.
because I missed the word or something, because reading twice
Yeah.
At night and in the morning, it's considered the one.
Oh, look what he's saying over here. I don't know where you got this from, but the truth is it's not exactly like that. It says in the Gemara like this. It says in the Gemara.
I mean nothing if I don't understand anyway. So
Yeah, it's true. You don't understand, but I'm going to explain to you. It says in the Gemara like this, right? That when the rabbis, in the time of the Purim, right, Esther and Mordechai, the rabbis decreed to read the Megillah only one time. Not at night, in the daytime, right? In the day, right? They only decreed that, and then the rabbis of the Talmud added also to read it at night. It was a different decree, a different time. It was like many years later. So it has nothing to do one with the other. You know what I mean? The main reading is the daytime, and the nighttime is additional. That they added afterwards. They added that. Why? Because I guess they feel that it needs to be supplemented. Supplementation. Right? Supplement. Sometimes you need supplement. Whatever. Right? So that's what they did. They made it also for the night. So these are two different things. One has nothing to do with the other. You know what I mean? Not connected. So if you miss this one, right, doesn't mean that you can make it up with the next one. No, it has nothing to do. You still have to go to a different shul, right, to Bet Gabriel or 71st, whatever, right? You got to go there, and hear it again, hear it for the night.
If I'm listening to the reader and following, and I don't understand nothing, it's nothing.
Right, that's a good question. So you know what the answer is? I'll tell you a secret. You have to understand this. It's a very important thing to understand. You know what it is? The Chazal say that Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew, right, that we read, is so strong that you're Yotzei Yedei Chovah even if you don't understand one word. It's very strong, But a different language, right? No, you have to understand that language. If you don't understand it, you're not Yotzei Chovah. So with Hebrew, that's why also with the prayer, right? A person goes up sometimes he's Chazan. He doesn't understand one word he's saying, but he's still Yotzei Yedei Chovah. Why? Because he's reading in Lashon HaKodesh. That's the thing, So Lashon HaKodesh has the power to overcome this problem, But the other languages don't have this power. So that's the answer to your question.
Is Megillat Esther written in Hebrew or in Arabic?
What's the answer to that? What are you going right? So the truth is that the Megillat Esther is mostly Hebrew, but there are a few Aramaic words there. Few Aramaic words. Few.
Question,
Yeah.
Why I'm asking, because Galut language for Jewish nation always was Aramaic.
Right, but this was written by the Chachamim, It wasn't written by, the Amei Aratzot, It was written by the rabbis, The rabbis knew Lashon HaKodesh. So then why did Why did they use some Aramaic words? What's the reason why? You know why this is? Because in that country where they lived, in Paras, they spoke Aramaic, so that was a part of the dialect there, This is the reason why they use some Aramaic words. But the Gemara says like this, exactly what your question is. Gemara asks a question like this. Masechet Megillah. It says, right? What about if you don't understand something? Do you fulfill your obligation if you don't understand the Megillah? So Gemara says, yeah. If it wasn't that, right? None of us would be Yotzei Dechova. You know why? Because there are some words over there nobody knows what they mean. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Some words over there nobody knows what's the difference. You know why? Because they're Persian words. Not the Persian of today. not Persian of today, David. Not that Persian, right? The old Persian, the classic, right? Classic Persian. It was a different language in those days, So there are some words over there that nobody knows what they mean. So the rabbis say, you see from there, right, that you don't really have to understand, but when you're reading a different language, let's say, right, they're reading the Megillah. You're allowed to do this, by the way, in English, let's say, or in Russian, right? You're allowed to read the Megillah in Russian, English. But it says the Shulchan Aruch, only people who understand can be Yotzei Dechova, this language, But if they don't understand language, no. Only Lashon HaKodesh. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, amen ve'amen. רבי חנינא בן שאומר, אצל הקדוש ברוך הוא עוסק לישראל, לפיכך הכריע להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר בני חפש, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.